Excellent, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here on this beautiful day to talk about our project, Kaskinomatosawin, which means in French, transmettre par la culture, and in English, transmitting through culture. So, revitalizing. Today we're going to talk about how we can revitalize ancestral practices in sexuality among Atikamekw fathers. But before we start, I'd like to take the time to thank the whole team, many of whom are here today. Myself, Jacinthe Dion, Alice Chakwan, Isabelle Essard, Thérèse Niquet, and Mireille Hébert. Then there are others on the list who are not here today, but who have been doing this work with us for several years now. I will go through a few slides because we'll have time to present a good video to you at the end. So first, just to give you some context, sexual abuse among Indigenous peoples. Several studies have been conducted, and when we review all of this literature, we can conclude that 25 to 50% of women and men who report having experienced sexual assault in childhood before 18 years of age, and the numbers could be a little bit higher because not everyone is ready to disclose these kinds of things. So it's 2 or 3 times higher than in non-Indigenous populations. So it's a serious societal problem we're facing. And in our work, of course, we want to prevent this kind of violence. Okay, the last one. I'll come back to it. Okay, there you go. Your turn, Alice.
OK, c'est moi. Bon.
Okay, my turn.
Je regarderai pas tout ça.
All right, I will look at all of this. As a First Nation, we have experienced a lot in terms of the Indian Act, which has had a significant impact on our lives, even today.
Il y a eu les pensionnats.
There were the residential schools.
Pensionnat, mais j'ai été
I didn't go to a residential school,
des pensionnats de mes
but I felt the impact of the residential schools from my siblings and my parents. My parents went to the oblates, and my siblings went to residential schools, which caused a great impact on the attachment bond with my siblings, actually, especially my siblings.
pensionnats, dont 100
There were many residential schools, about 130 from 1880 to 1996. The last one was closed around 1985-86, the last of the residential schools.
d'enfants aussi, la rafle des
There were also many child placements,
beaucoup d'enfants qui ont été
what's called the 60s scoop. Many children were removed from their environment and brought to non-Indigenous foster families. This is where the uprooting of culture, language occurred. The attachment bond was broken.
Il y a beaucoup eu aussi
Subsequently, there was also a lot of colonial violence.
tout qu'est-ce qui est
Everything
gouvernement qui veut faire
that the government wants to do,
en de manière
which is it's time to assimilate us in a Western way and not take into account our needs and our values and our traditions,
maternelle.
and all of this in our mother tongue, which is Atikamekw. We're talking about trauma here. Nicolas talks about trauma,
Trauma,
but it's a big trauma, complex traumas that we're experiencing. And we're talking about genocide here, that the government tried to kill the Atikamekw in me, in us.
Donc, ce qui nous amène, dans le fond,
So this brings us to the objective of our project,
qui est...
which is... Oh, thank you. I wasn't changing.
j'ai le-
Okay. I have the computer here. Thanks, Isabelle. So the objectives of our program in connection with the funding we received from the Public Health Agency is to prevent sexual abuse, as I was saying, and
angle
our angle of action
d'accompagner les parents.
is to support parents in educating their children about sexuality.
Donc,
So,
De façon concrète, comment ça va?
in concrete terms, how will this be done? Well, we want to revise the Awashish Lantern program. This is a program that had already been given in the communities of Manawan and Wimantashi, which was a program for preventing sexual abuse, education on healthy sexuality as well. And now we're revising the program, especially to adapt it so that parents can benefit from it.
On vise aussi de la co-création.
We also want to co-create new tools, increase parental skills in sexuality education, notably via the revised program of the Washish Lantern, and we also would like to reach men. We talked about it, those who were here yesterday, we talked about the difficulty of reaching men, and this is something that is common in research. It's hard to reach men. It's part of the things but also understanding why they're not coming, why there's a kind of disengagement there.
Alors maintenant, les résultats de...
Here are the results of our efforts thus far.
Les 2 premières années,
The first 2 years, when we went to the field, we mainly analyzed the needs with
on a
Alice.
mené beaucoup de
Alice led many sharing
on
circles.
en a fait avec des
We did some with elders, with parents, and often we invited men, but they didn't come. There were more women than men. Subsequently, we brought in another partner, Jimmy,
il travaille dans un organisme
who works in an organization called Enfants, and he was working with men who had experienced sexual abuse in childhood. So that partnership helped us reach some groups of men to probe their needs a bit more and also understand what they experienced before and after the residential schools and what happened in the families. Try to better understand their role.
En gros, là,
So, what came out of it overall is that they want to be considered as full-fledged people and stop having the face of an aggressor and being stigmatized. They're unhappy in this situation.
meilleur père, mais
They want to become better fathers, but they don't quite know how. So from there,
production d'une vidéo, etc. Moi, je vais passer la parole.
we built a video, all of that. I'll let someone else explain the rest, but overall, that's what was said.
Parler un peu des résultats de notre analyse de besoins. Qu'est-ce qu'on a
So I'll talk a bit about the results of our needs analysis, what we've discovered, which led us to make the video. A few results of our qualitative analysis. So Thérèse will be able to talk to us about it.
Revient à la perception de la
Okay, we come back to the perception of sexuality before and after residential schools.
sexualité.
Before, when it came to sexuality,
Des
it was brought up a lot.
les enseignements
It was the elders who provided the teachings
menés parce que
and a lot of elder women,
la culture
because traditionally, the Atikamekw culture is very matriarchal.
les femmes aînées qui
So it was mainly the elder women who were teaching, and it was also very much related to the place of the family. It was related to life on the territory, the roles, the responsibilities, how things were distributed.
nécessairement
It wasn't necessarily,
on parlait pas nécessairement de
we didn't necessarily talk about sexuality as such,
faire
although we did
là,
refer to it in these teachings. We referred to rules, norms in relation, mores on sexuality, tradition, and the importance of tradition. It was that men, women, and family members find their place within the circle.
du cercle on revient
And when we talk about the circle, we return to the teachings of the life path, the medicine path,
sage
the rites of passage, the importance of the rites of passage in relation to the young girl who, at one point, experiences her physical, emotional, mental, spiritual transformations. It was within the rites of passage that teachings were given,
prendre garde, faire attention,
what they needed to be aware of, how to pay attention, take care of themselves, including for young boys as well.
sage de la puberté.
There was the rite of passage of puberty. It was all
Par rapport à la sexualité.
within this that teachings about sexuality took place.
Mais après les pensionnats, c'est
After residential schools,
tout bouleversé, là,
everything was
les
disrupted.
pensionnats, mais
We can talk about after the residential schools, but also
prépondérante que prenait l'Église
the prominent place that the church took up, as well as the priests.
à partir de là,
Sexuality, from then on,
davantage
was more associated with evil.
les aînés.
That's what the elders said.
Quand il est question
The elders, from then on, when it was question of sexuality,
d'employer ces
the word used was kiushkuin. It refers to sin. It became a sin
sexualités.
when sexuality was brought up.
Ça, là, que,
And that's how sexuality was seen,
vu comme quelque chose de mal,
as something bad.
de plaisir.
There was no pleasure to be had in it.
C'était
But in essence, it was related to issues of
plutôt
violence instead. What do we do after all this? We have the trauma. We've seen a bit of what happened with the elders, what was happening before. And what do? We will use culture to prevent and accompany parents, dads, moms, all of that, because it allows for inclusivity. It allows us all to be together. We say Mamo. Mamo means together. We will include all Atikamekw people, mother, father, people in the 2SLGBTQIA+ world. It's a lot. But we also need to respect them, to fully welcome these brothers and sisters. We will also value Indigenous knowledge, Atikamekw knowledge, ancestral knowledge as well. We will perform healing ceremonies also on the territory, always in a territory, in a sweat lodge. We will also have sharing circles in the sweat lodge. You will see a beautiful video later. And we will also call upon caregivers because we need to reinforce our knowledge as well from our caregivers, our healers as well, to be able to reconnect with. We were talking about identity earlier, to be able to reconnect with our Atikamekw identity.
Tu l'as fermé. OK. C'est correct.
Okay,
Alice,
that works. All right, Alice was talking about healing, about valuing knowledge, about holistic Atikamekw approaches. That's where we come back to the medicine path, the medicine wheel, the life path, all of the learnings we have to do on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level. When we say centered on the Nin, in fact,
le soi, c'est la part.
it's the self, it's the part of oneself that we really go seek through these teachings.
C'est l'espace
It's about finding the sacred space within oneself.
pour retrouver
That's the Nin, to regain balance
différentes
between the different aspects that make up the human being.
vraiment les enseignements de
In essence, it's really the teachings of the wheel of medicine. We refer to the 4 directions. We talk about 4 directions, but in fact, there is also
l'Est, le Sud,
the East, the South, the West, the North, which all have their teachings, but there is the direction also that is towards the Nin, the self,
sacré en soi.
the sacred space within oneself. But there is also
Le fait de s'assurer d'être
the fact of ensuring to be well rooted to the earth, well grounded, to be inspired also by the Creator, the Great Spirit. This adds
direction.
3 other directions or 4 directions.
C'est ça.
So that's it.
Puis, on en revient encore aux rôles parentaux.
We come back again to parental roles. We have often talked about it with the team.
Les hommes. Pourquoi
How are we going to reach the men?
l'équilibre, les aînés leur
Before, there was a balance. The elders told them, as she said, there was a sexual education that was done a lot through women, but there was a balance between men and women. The elders often report that there was no abuse towards women as before. There was a bit, but not like today.
parentaux ont
At the moment, the parental roles, there are some men who said today in 2025, men need to get more involved. Men need to take their place back, to play their role as educators, also towards girls, but especially boys, because we can want to accompany female survivors towards healing, but if we don't work with men, the violence will continue.
garçons, les pères.
It's also with boys, with young boys, fathers who have a role to play towards young boys as well. And this is how things can maybe move forward. So here we have a small clip that represents before, after, and also elders who have undertaken a healing process and who find that there is a place, there must be a place for fathers as well, for men in sexual education of their children.
Donc, toute cette analyse-là, dans le fond, je l'ai pas
So this analysis, basically, I didn't mention it at the beginning, but it's about 30 elders, fathers, mothers that we met, with whom we conducted interviews to gather all of this content.
ce que ça nous a amené.
So what it brought us, in fact, is,
Oui, il y a comme un petit, un petit problème.
yeah, small problem. Okay, nothing big.
Recommandations
So we have recommendations resulting from this analysis that lead us to say that we must use sharing circles to take the time, a bit like what Nicola mentioned. If there are traumas that are still there that aren't healed, it's difficult to move on to something else afterwards. So we really need to take care of healing and of healing the traumas. And so the sharing circles is a way that works really well in the communities. We must share practices, traditions, connect to the territory. We see that it's an element that works really well in the community. We have done a lot of training in Wamantashi and Manawan with the Lantern program in Washish that was developed by the Marie Vincent Foundation and that we continued with Alice, of course, who developed a lot of tools from this program that we continue to use in prevention and sexual education tools. Because we think that to prevent sexual violence, there is nothing better than to do good sexual education. And this brought us to make a video clip. We're showing you an excerpt today. It's not final. This 10-minute documentary isn't final. We have more than 5 hours of interview. We chose 10 minutes. If there are any comments or items, anything else, come and share them with us. Come discuss with us because it's not final yet. We can still make changes. So we'd love to have your comments about this excerpt. Okay, so is there anything else before we present? Okay, Sabri, can you hit the button?
One shot.
No one shot.
Huh? One shot. Is it? Nende mushukini yama. Kirano gisketten kirano da mana pitshegi shuvit magunano. Ama kishinana using this la prévention sensibilisation.
Sexuality, prevention, and awareness.
Napitoptelano girano. Mushak teraki di winano awuru pemshkinishish. Yama kishini wipemute awuni zonishin. Awudane koninetu kwa. Kwezuine tak skudeshkinishish awuni zonishin. Mushak zingistokusten.
Qu'est-ce qui fait que toi,
What makes you so open about discussing sexuality?
Oh, je sais pas.
I don't know. It might be because of my uncle who started talking to me about it when I was younger.
ton oncle?
Your uncle?
Okay, Gabi.
Yes, his name was Gabby. He would tell me, these are breasts. They're used for this.
Il me disait pas, ah, va jouer avec ça, nanana.
He didn't say, go play with them. He'd say, no, breasts are for feeding children.
Okay.
Children, yes. Okay.
Puis que le sexe, c'est
And that
pour faire des enfants.
sex is for making children, he said.
Je sais pas tout de suite compris par la suite.
I don't know if you understand what follows. He asked me what it was, you know. Yeah, there are other things to experience with breasts. And of course, if your child comes out, you have to welcome this news with open arms because it's not a choice. And it's not something that is imposed on us either. It's just like a natural flow. You're born. If you are, well, you are. It's not imposed on you. It's not a choice you have to make. Even I didn't go through a period in my life where I necessarily had to come out because from the beginning of my adolescence, I was already showing who I was naturally. It bothered people. It bothered a lot of people. I was asked a lot of questions. I was told to shout it out loud that I was. And I said, it's funny that you ask me to shout it out loud. I do it every day. If you don't hear anything, it's not my problem. It's a world that belongs to them. The world of tomorrow is for them. Traditional teachings.
Gdzie łamienie copnde. Agande gdzie hama. Begit neksa wes negdzie doda ini jangulnya ka kim kuyan. Ker musa sa armo duma kuir neronde.
Hai biar kawan arang betul
Kignop tamanan ko degero. Kay waru nagasa dik dade Jesus aso.
Ben, discutem com o optum de na manda steg bid na orna distan da estardes que na luxuru. Mettons, c'est du temps de quoi? Si c'est
Let's say you try something. If it's no, it's no. If it's yes, it's yes.
il faut que l'accord.
There needs to be agreement. There needs to be mutual passion and desire. It has to happen with the utmost respect for the other person and especially for oneself. Don't do something you're not comfortable with, and don't let yourself be manipulated. You know, if you do this for me, well, if you don't do this for me, it means you don't love me. Well, no, that doesn't exist. Things like that. It's not the real deal. It's not what's tangible.
Aramasina.
Agora but we mushumiana. Gerna.
Ba. Moi c'est ça.
Que aqui que lá não. Que espero que não me diz.
Agora bas que joguna ramaso zikri gada. Sikin da ba majiji kwa westa lera adolescence kri gada. Aji. Majju da gada. Il va se reposer un petit peu.
He's going to rest a bit. He's going to rest, and if he rests too much, he'll get eaten.
Non. C'est ce que tu dis que le sport me dit là 18 ans, on va jouer na Washington. Que gato com as canas não tá dando. De o dos na minha can.
Que.
Nous allons como que diz que na professeur picture na petite.
Leur jeunesse, hein?
Ouais.
Youth, eh?
Conjointe, est-ce qu'elle a
And with your ex-partner, did she talk about sexuality
des enfants?
with your children?
C'est plus toi.
No, it was more me who talked about it. Okay, it was more you. Okay. She talked about other things.
Les cérémonies.
Do you know a bit about the ceremonies, the rites of passage for young girls that they experience? For young girls, yes, I know a bit, but not for young boys. Okay. Can you tell me about what you know about a young girl, about the rites of passage?
Une jeune fille,
When a young girl has her first period,
c'est là que sa mère lui amène
that's when her mother takes her into the woods.
qu'elle est
She shows her, she teaches her that she is now a woman,
qui peut tomber.
that she can get pregnant.
C'est quoi le rôle?
What is the role of a mother, in fact?
Tuguno bundaga yaksis nanagasnitin de pepemantis panugut keda ke tanindege dan hedan ke gisetena ejirini tikindege ura. Kuredza getnat irini undeg de le papa ke de morashini bundege ura. Sot ogusap sot odansa. Odansa kada utama bun yeşana nagizin de sorudzi. Ashtere bun yor. De yoro irini okiji utama son unzanisho sot de ogusyo. Mujaka tkunde danon. Maxieta un pit wajish. Dan kesperit. Oui, to dat sotika washak sote washi tit. Que ça soit garçon.
Whether it be boy, girl, boy.
Quel message que t'aimerais envoyer au papa, toi?
What message would you like to send to the father?
Message.
The message, a positive message
Pour l'éducation à la sexualité.
to the father for sex education.
Que dikinde moroama. Moroshini ko bimadsino ama.
Kagandina China Moroshikne Dijstay White Chain or King Stella Kevin Edan Todatsunam.
Que demande aux écoutes que ça apparente sur le deck à Pomchinku.
En tout cas, moi, je me dis, là, il y a un...
Anyway, I tell myself that there is a huge job to do. so that men too
leur
can find their role.
rôle, on peut dire le caractère.
We can see the sacred character of the role of the woman and the man at the same time. How could we, women, help men
À reprendre.
to take their place?
Comment nous pourrions faire nous en tant que femmes?
How could we do it?
Ben, moi, je me dis, si nous-mêmes, on apprend
I tell myself,
mieux se connaître,
if we ourselves learn to know ourselves better and recognize our strength as
on
well,
a quand même une
we have
habilité au niveau de
a greater ability in terms of communication and expressing our emotions.
avec les hommes,
But it's about learning with men too, to accompany each other
les hommes ou les jeunes
like men, young men.
qui apprennent là, à mieux exprimer
They learn to better express themselves, express their needs.
Gina armudum wanda neronde chin wanda. So miande yegat kone indi der trawa yi sek hadi. Mawar wushe jo mende kun sto chong ni no da desafelo. Ni azu kun atus ne ni chiste ki kore gezne sto chang chawikra. Ni kun atus ni baran negra garmud no warik nezno gutna inde.
C'est le temps de le faire, c'est le temps d'en parler. Les jeunes ont droit.
It's time to do it. It's time to talk about it. Young people have the right to be safe. They have the right to say no. People have the right to say, I disagree. Some have the right to say that I agree. But when it's no, it's no.
Situation,
Don't bring up the situation if it doesn't concern you. There are very sensitive topics as well.
étant enfant, évidemment,
Of course, being a
le
child,
jeune a toujours besoin d'un guide.
the young person always needs a
Pour
guide.
le père, si jamais il veut en donner.
For the father, if he ever wants to give some kind of guidance to his child, there are resources that can help him. But of course, it concerns him too.
L'amour, c'est beau. Ça a sa douceur.
Love is beautiful. It has its sweetness, it has its safety, and its authenticity.
C'est un endroit où il faut rester
It's a
ancré
place
à la réalité.
where you have to stay grounded in reality.
On va naître de ça.
We're born from this physical love, from this emotional and spiritual love that we have with others.
C'est important de garder en sécurité.
It's important to stay safe.
Merci beaucoup pour la vidéo et votre...
Thank you very much for the video and your presentation.
Donc, juste pour terminer.
So, just to conclude, what we have here is a small excerpt,
Chose qu'on va faire avec
but we have other things we're going to do with it. We have other videos we're going to create. As you were saying, I think it was you, Alice, we have 5 hours of video. Well, we're going to broadcast the video clip and also make other videos from this material. The next steps are to continue the trainings, workshops, sharing circles, trainings for professionals, but also for parents, as we were saying.
via des
There are sharing circles and ensuring the sustainability of all this. So it's not just something that happens once and then it's over. We really want it to last over time.
Voilà.
Ben, ça va être le temps de la pause, mais
It's time for break. A big thank you to Alice, Jacinthe, Isabelle, Thérèse, and Mireille for your presentation. Okay, we're heading for a break.